Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Hilary Booth and I'm a naturopathic doctor and welcome to my video blog. Before we get going today, I just want to remind everyone that we just have a couple weeks left before the end of 2014. So that means you should book your first appointment with me now so that we can use the end of your 2014 extended healthcare insurance before we roll into the new year. So today we're going to be talking about memory loss and brain fog. Many patients come into my office with concerns that their memory just isn't what it used to be. Most of the time these patients are in their 30s and 40s, and I've come to notice that memory loss really doesn't always have a lot of things to do with the elderly population or with getting older. Symptoms can include lack of ability to focus, difficulty thinking clearly, and forgetfulness. So here are my top 5 reasons for why people are experiencing memory loss and brain fog that doesn't necessarily have to do with getting older. Number 1 is Candida overgrowth. So Candida is a yeast that's normally present in the body in small amounts, but sometimes what can happen is it can take over and cause negative symptoms if you let it. So Candida overgrowth happens when you have multiple rounds of antibiotics, which kill the good bacteria in the gut, and as a result, Candida or yeast can overgrow. It can also happen if you eat a diet high in sugar, which feeds the yeast. So Candida overgrowth is also precipitated by taking the birth control pill, having a stressful lifestyle, which many of us have, and by consuming alcohol, which is a sugar. Candida overgrowth can present with lots of different symptoms, not just yeast infections. So it can cause brain fog, as we mentioned, bloating, fatigue, skin concerns, digestive upset, and sugar cravings. Interestingly, case studies have actually found in people with memory difficulties that they can have Candida spores actually found in the CSF, which is our cerebrospinal fluid. This is the fluid that bathes our spine and our brain. So there can actually be yeast that occurs that actually physically is affecting the brain in what it lives in. So how do we get rid of Candida overgrowth? Basically, you need to stop feeding the yeast, meaning cutting out all sugars and fermented foods, and that you also need to kill off the yeast directly. And this is where a naturopathic doctor comes in. It should be done under the supervision of a naturopathic doctor because the process can be overwhelming and it can be dangerous, and not all products are right for all patients. The good news is that it is easy to kill and you can do it, and your brain fog will lift and it will go away if you kill off the Candida overgrowth that might be happening with you. My second reason that you might be having brain fog or memory loss is that your blood sugar has plummeted. So do you ever notice that your brain just doesn't function the way that you want it to, sometime around 3 or 4 in the afternoon? Or maybe this also happens to you sometime mid-morning, sometime between breakfast and lunch. So you should, when this happens, try and look back and think, what did I have for lunch? Maybe it was a sandwich and an apple, or maybe it was a salad with lots of veggies. Both these meals are actually not ideal for keeping blood sugar level. What they can do is they can spike the blood sugar, which then results in a blood sugar plummet. And when your blood sugar plummets, the brain doesn't have any food to eat. It doesn't have anything to feed on. So you get that kind of fogginess, that inability to concentrate, difficulty focusing that often happens. So to keep your blood sugar balanced, every meal should include protein, at least 15 grams per meal. Good sources of fats also are great, as well as lots of fiber. Now, fats, fiber, and protein all help to keep the blood sugar balanced because it increases the amount of time it takes for the stomach to digest your food. So as a result, it makes the blood sugar be at a steady medium state as the stomach releases the digested food into the bloodstream, basically, in a basic kind of way, and that keeps your blood sugar stable. Rather than if you eat lots of carbs, like a sandwich, for example, and that's going to spike your blood sugar up, and as a result, you're going to get that quick crash. Now, my third reason that you may have brain fog or inability to function or focus very well, inability to concentrate, is because your cortisol levels are off. So as we've mentioned in a couple other video blogs, cortisol is the stress hormone. And research actually shows that high levels of cortisol actually contribute to the development of Alzheimer's disease, and that high levels of cortisol can impair your memory function. Now, so basically, when we're super stressed out, our cortisol levels are on high. We're putting out lots and lots of cortisol, and this is an abnormal response. Your body takes this as fight or flight mode, as in, there's a lion chasing me right now. And as you can imagine, if there's a lion chasing you, your brain isn't exactly going to be firing at its best because it's not so worried about thinking and solving a math problem. It's more worried about getting away from the lion. So, cortisol testing is available if you think that this might be a concern for you and that you think that this might be the cause of your brain fog or memory troubles. So, what is the treatment? After you get that cortisol testing done and it shows that your levels are too high, there are many herbs and supplements that you can take to balance your cortisol rhythm. But of course, the most important thing to do is to reduce your stress. This can be easier said than done, but the way to do this is to cut back, learn to say no, learn to ask for help when you need it, and most importantly, take 30 minutes per day to yourself and do something that you love to do or that calms you down and relaxes you. This needs to be really an important part of your day. You need to schedule it in as though you're scheduling in a dentist appointment, only it's more fun than a dentist appointment, I hope. But schedule that time to read a book or have a bath or go for a walk. Do something that you love to do that's going to calm you down, and this can have profound effects for improving your memory overall. My number 4 reason is that you have one or more nutrient deficiencies. Lots and lots of people are deficient in nutrients. There are lots of different nutrients that your brain needs in order to function at an optimal level. One of them is that you may be deficient in minerals, such as magnesium, calcium, zinc, selenium, iodine, chromium. All these minerals can be deficient in lots of different people's bodies, and eating a diet that's high in nuts and seeds, meat, and dark colored vegetables, especially dark leafy greens, can be wonderful for boosting your mineral levels. Proteins are also important for your brain to function. So remember, you need 0.2 grams per kilogram 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight in order to get the amount of protein that you need in your day. B vitamins are also super important for brain function, especially B6 and B12, which tons of people are deficient in. The way that you can know if you're deficient, both these vitamins are depleted if you're super stressed. Also, if you're on any medications, they can deplete the B vitamins, including the birth control pill. Finally, omega-3 fatty acids are a really important part of brain functioning. And so great sources of omega-3s include fish and chia. Now, if you're not getting enough fish, most of us don't, taking a fish oil is a wonderful way of boosting your omega-3s in your daily life as part of your daily routine to keep that brain functioning at its best. My number 5 reason is probably the most important. It is that you may have an underlying undiagnosed medical condition. And this is really where your naturopathic doctor comes in, because he or she will take your full health history, your family history, as well as do the appropriate lab testing to determine what might be causing your memory loss or your brain fog. So the first thing that's really interesting could be mercury poisoning. I've seen some patients where they're not necessarily chugging mercury thermometers and eating a whole bunch of mercury-laden fish, but as a result, they're still showing up with super high mercury levels, and this is interesting. These people don't have the ability to detoxify mercury as well as the next person, and as a result, you get higher levels in the system, and it ends up affecting brain function profoundly. You also may have hypo or hyperthyroidism. The thyroid is like your little thermostat, your speedometer for your day-to-day metabolic functioning. And as a result, if it's hypo or hyper, or either one, your brain functioning can be off, and this causes you to not be able to think clearly. You may also have hormonal fluctuations of menopause, or the hormonal fluctuations or drop in estrogen and progesterone that occur right before you get your period. You may notice that before you get your period, your brain doesn't function as well as you'd like it to. I would encourage you to watch my video on the perfect period or on menopause in order to see if this may be something that is affecting you. You may have a food allergy. Studies show that people with gluten intolerances, if they're eating gluten, they have poor memory function. And if you take gluten out of their diet, their memory and brain function increases substantially. You also may have a slew of other conditions: vascular conditions, heart conditions, bowel conditions such as IBS, Crohn's, colitis can all prevent the absorption of certain nutrients, for example. Hormonal imbalances, neurological issues such as multiple sclerosis and early onset Alzheimer's disease are also a possibility, and certain infections, including Lyme disease and different parasitic infections, can profoundly affect the way the brain works. So I hope you're starting to see why it's important not to sweep the symptom of brain fog under the rug. There could be a lot of other things going on in your body that affect the brain. The brain is a very delicate thing, and it can get affected by tons and tons of different things that are happening in the body. So I would encourage you, if you do have brain fog or memory loss, difficulty concentrating, or inability to think clearly, to speak with your naturopathic doctor or book an appointment with me, and I'd be happy to go through your health history and through some of your concerns to try and determine what it is that's causing the brain fog in your life so that we can treat the underlying cause so that you do have the ability to think clearly, as we would all like to have in our daily lives. I hope you've learned something today, and I hope you've enjoyed watching. Thanks so much for being with me this week, and I hope everybody has a wonderful week.